Welcome back to Game 3, where Schalke are just one win away from achieving their big goal of the season. For Ninjas in Pyjamas, this is it, as they are fighting to keep their spot in the European LCS. They have the red side stress, they selected it for themselves. It has been a good omen for them in the past. Not so much today.
Not today, but it is the opportunity for them to build back into the game. Counterpicking top lane would be a way through. We saw Profit get a good laning advantage in the last game, but it didn't translate to a game win. They couldn't quite put the Cho'gath so far behind that he was out of the game.
And they couldn't put Upset behind either. Upset was in such a good position as well. And getting a 60 farm lead over your lane opponent at 25 minutes is definitely a pretty dominant place to be. Pretty good spot to be in. But from that, it really was a few key moments with HeaQ getting caught out, getting ulted right at the end of the fight. Like as he tries to come in, Caedrel just catches him. Although the CS lead was a massive part of the reason why Schalke won, it wasn't the only thing that came through to pick up that victory for them. They're going into potentially the final draft here out of Schalke and NIP. If Schalke come out successful, that'll certainly be the case. That it will. Cassiopeia and Rakan getting taken away by Schalke, and NIP removing the Kalista. We've seen a lot of AD carry targeting. Tristana, Xayah, Corki, Rakan, not an AD carry, but still very strong in that bottom lane.
Yep, neither is the Cassiopeia that is banned, but it's okay. Schalke know where this is going. They are likely to end up having to dig into the pool of the likes of the Kog'Maw that we saw. Tristana they got in game 1 and haven't had since. So Jarvan banned away. Schalke now will look towards the likes of a Jarvan's banned. So where do we go next? Gragas has been a good pick for them.
Yeah, Xayah being available as well helps a lot. Basically, we've switched the Tristana ban from Ninjas in Pyjamas and the Xayah ban from game 1. So apart from that, it's pretty much the same. Corki left on the cards here as well for Schalke if they do want to take that later on. Xayah picked up, NIP looking towards probably their jungler here on that second rotation. Yeah,
and that Corki has been a big pick for Caedrel. Really throughout the regular split, throughout the promotion tournament as a whole. And the Analyst desk have been talking so much about Shook playing the Elise, and it was available, and again, they go towards the Sejuani. The tank, the engage tool using the ultimate has not worked out.
It did get them first blood.
It did.
And it helped at times, and they were able to catch Memento out, and at times it looks good.
You know what other champion is great at getting first blood?
I get the feeling you're going to say Elise.
I'm going to say Elise. Okay. But okay, they're pairing the Freljord up in the top lane. No longer a war up there. They want to, or not top lane, first two picks, I mean. Ashe, Sejuani, crowd control. That could be the basis for Nagne to pick up a carry as well and look to carry the game. Now, if Schalke go the Galio, which is an expected pick to come through here, and that does leave them needing Smittyj to be playing the carry in the top lane.
Smittyj could play the Galio as well. Doesn't always have to be jungle. Sejuani and Ashe already locked in for the Ninjas in Pyjamas, and actually the Alistar might get taken away by Schalke here. Won't want to give that one up to Sprattel once again. Too much of a wombo combo for the NIP roster if they got that Alistar.
Ooh, and they picked the Morgana into it. Now, Sprattel had a good Morgana game yesterday. Morgana and Janna good into the Alistar theoretically. Janna's easier to pull off though, because Morgana, if you miss the Dark Binding, sorry, not the Dark Binding, the Black Shield, then Alistar basically gets everything off, and Schalke will be able to engage freely. Now, of course, they need more options to break through the Black Shield. The Alistar can do it if there's only 1 point really in the Black Shield, but we started seeing people maxing it to offset that.
It's a difficult lane matchup for the Alistar because you do struggle to get through that Black Shield. You have a little bit of damage coming out from Upset as well on that Xayah to try and help out. Camille being taken away by Schalke, LeBlanc by NIP. Very reminiscent of game 1, although we haven't seen the Gnar banned out by either of these teams yet.
Not yet. Likely to be a follow-up ban to come through from Schalke. They don't want NIP to have that as a blind pick, although we didn't really mention that the Galio made its way through to phase 2, now banned away. LeBlanc off the table, so Schalke... Corki is the likely place they go in the mid lane, but Nagne could take it away. We might see Nagne just play the Lucian into it instead. Talia is up and available. But the Syndra that Nagne stole the Baron with yesterday is not there. No more will Lord of the Pit come through on that Syndra.
not for the time being. Does mean we see the Gnar left open, so NIP could go towards that for profit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities for them, and that top lane matchup has been very vital for these teams across the course of the series. Cho'gath still there as well, and NIP could even take the Corki for themselves, one of Nagne's most plays across the course of the split.
Of course, gives them late game options with a lot of that damage that comes through. For now, though, Schalke will have to find an answer to the Corki, whether we see a lane advantage or a lane late game matchup with that Kassadin coming through. We're likely to see the blind pick Gnar alongside it. Good side lane pressure. Late game scaling from the middle lane. And quite low wave clear overall from Schalke, especially Kassadin doesn't offer too much towards that. So we might see NIP in a situation where they're firing the Ashe arrow confidently down mid lane and trying to hit whoever's behind it and getting a tower from it.
It's definitely a possibility. That Cho'gath's still available as well for profit in the top lane. He'll take that into the Gnar. It's a matchup that Cho'gath can struggle with a little bit because of the ranged harass coming out from Smittyj.
Yeah, of course, Smittyj will be able to take a laning advantage, but we've seen if you don't shut the Cho'gath down, if you don't get that long set of ganks to come through in the laning phase, Cho'gath basically is just able to survive through very effectively. NIP do have some decent catch potential, Dark Binding plus the Sejuani to set up fights. Then you've got the Cho'gath to come through, the Corki to end up dealing a lot of damage themselves. But if this game ends up in a situation when Schalke are free to go out to the side lane, then everything should start going in their favor if they can get a kill or two onto Caedrel.
We have seen Schalke play this sort of composition before, trying to get the Kassadin into a side lane, have the Gnar split push a little bit as well, and then have a bit of a team fight later on. NIP on their last legs, of course, here, Stress. They have to win this game to stay in the European LCS, or at least to have a shot of doing it. Schalke just one game away from the prize they've been searching for the best part of 12 months.
Yes, and setbacks along the road have caused Schalke to be in this position, but they're getting closer and closer now as they're only one game away from making it into the LCS. This is the final chance for NIP to save their LCS as well, their spot in the LCS. It's a rough road for these two teams, but Schalke look to be coming out of it a whole lot better. And what an interesting situation we end up in. NIP off a 3-0 yesterday looked incredibly strong. Schalke, couple of tough series, 5-game series all along the road, but they have been highly prepared to get to this point. Loading into the Rift for game 3. Starting to get onto the Rift. Medic will be with us in just a couple of seconds, sorting out a microphone issue, but we are getting there into game. NIP. One more game separates themselves from being out of the LCS and in Challenger for the Spring Split 2018.
And one game is such a small margin for these teams as well, Stress. It's such a difficult moment to be in on the stage, because you're looking at it and you're saying, what if I'm the one that makes the mistake? What if I'm the one that gives away this game? What if I'm the one that mispositions in a late game team fight? And that stress builds and builds and builds and builds, and it only continues to build across the course of a series. Schalke in a bit more of a comfortable position, but the stress has been on them ever since they got knocked out by Misfits Academy last split.
Very unexpected loss for them as well. No, this is a lot better of a Schalke roster overall, stabilized quite effectively, and they're in a position to write their own destiny. But this maybe is a little bit late scaling coming from mid and AD carry, but we've seen them cope well with this. They've drafted losing matchups, performed better the later the game has gone, and that really was one of the things that rounded out a lot of their play.
That it was. Their ability to adapt and their ability to be confident in a variety of different situations always helped them a lot, Stress. Sometimes a bit overconfident, though. We saw their drafts against Misfits bite them a little bit in the butt, and perhaps yesterday against Giants the same happened. Smittyj having to flash, but it connects at the end. Respect
flash comes through from Smittyj, was able to dodge out. That's honestly what Nagne should have done in game 1 when he got ganked early on. Making sure that he doesn't get caught in the lane that basically would have been first blood if they'd got it. Now we end up in a situation where a flashless Gnar top lane, Prophet getting that investment early on from the rest of his team.
And I want to come back down to the bottom lane as well, Stress, because HeaQ and Sprattel are in a relatively good matchup for them here as well. You know, you can shut out the Alistar with the Black Shield, you get harassed down with the volley. They've struggled across the course of this series to actually shut down Upset or even keep him under wraps. Upset has been the dominant force in that bottom lane, and now we see a lot more pressure being put on that bottom lane of NIP to actually carry. Memento knows that. Flash straight in. Sprattel shields himself, and HeaQ caught out. The Ignite comes down. Exhaust is not enough. First blood, Schalke null fear, and Sprattel runs away with his tail between his legs.
Oh, yesterday we saw Sprattel shield HeaQ on the Morgana to let him escape and engage. Today, Sprattel feels like the engage is going on himself. HeaQ gets caught. The early gank from Memento pays out way much more than Shooks did up on the top side. And Schalke, we talked about how this lane might be a difficult one because they can't get too much to work. Well, they just get first blood out of it, put themselves maybe with one foot in the door towards that LCS spot.
And Memento's first bloods across the course of this series have been absolutely on point. 3-minute gank mid lane in game 1, 3-minute gank in this game as well, just facilitating where he thinks his lanes might struggle a little bit.
So Norskeren knows if he Q flashes here, there's no dark binding available. Wow, Sprattel, I don't know whether that was a misclick, but HeaQ was very clearly engaged upon by the time that that Black Shield actually came down from Sprattel. I can understand that what Sprattel is trying to do is not get knocked into the wall. Say they were to go on HeaQ and then change focus down onto Sprattel by him getting pinned on the wall, but that is unlikely. If they've already found the clean engage onto HeaQ, then basically they're only going to basically all in on the AD carry that now has no flash.
Usually you kill the person that you've already engaged.
Yeah, exactly. There's no tricky play about it. You just kill him.
HeaQ didn't use his heal there, kept that. Still a flash for Sprattel, whereas Schalke Nullfear only have the heal left in that lane. Sprattel's gone for the roam early on, trying to match Norskeren, and Memento have been able to catch out a little bit on these flanks. And once again, we see HeaQ left in a lane with Upset, but Memento and Norskeren are on their way, have the blast cone to jump across this wall. There's a ward in the bush that they will get spotted on. They are waiting for HeaQ to take a step too far, or waiting for Sprattel to get away. They still engage on him. He still has flash here. Is going to get stunned up, doesn't even use the flash, and Sprattel dies with flash up against two players who do not have that summoner.
And that blast coned their way the opposite side. It looked like they were going to kill him before, and then they end up putting themselves the other side. This has been a crazy early game and not the best one out of NIP's bottom lane. This series has been a very rough series because of how good Schalke have played around it. Schalke now investing 2 ganks early towards the bottom side, pick up 2 kills from it.
That they do, and I think you have to come back to what Andre, the Giants coach, was saying on the desk. Is there a degree of just lack of motivation now for NIP? They've lost 2 games. You're staring at a reverse sweep, a 3-0 that you have to win to stay in the EU LCS, and now we're starting to see mistakes creep into their gameplay.
Well, that's something that Gilius was also talking about, and I'll be honest, I think that's something that only pro players that have had that experience being in a promotion tournament can speak to. I would think that any player at this position playing for basically their career and their job right now will be motivated to win it. I think for HeaQ and Sprattel, it's a difficult situation to play when you've basically lost the last 2 games. Your laning phase has just been outperformed by the enemy. You can see why that would be a difficult spot, but look, Prophet now has to flash out topside. It is all going in Schalke's favor in this early game.
Prophet, I think, was hoping to hit 6 during the exchange, because if he had, he would have been able to feast onto Smittyj. Memento's now up towards the top side.
No
Prophet
flash.
has no flash, is silent.
Careful
Memento level
feast.
5, has to be careful because of the feast. As you say, the rupture comes out. Prophet plays well, dancing around the tower in the top lane.
So Shook is taking bottom side jungle in exchange for this presence out from Memento. But this is something Memento has done quite a few times this series. We're going to look back at what Sprattel saw here. Ta-da! Sees people jump from the darkness into the darkness. Sprattel, he doesn't believe in a thing called love or life at this point right now. Ends up getting killed. That's 1 death apiece for the NIP bottom lane.
I have to give him some credit with the flash. maybe just didn't read the re-engage from them. He saw them jumping out, was like, okay, they've disengaged, tried to land the binding, and then didn't think to flash straight away. And by the point he could have reacted with the flash, he
early
was dead
TP
anyway.
from Prophet. We saw this out of NIP yesterday. Second TP comes through from Nagne. They want to try and get a kill 5 versus 2 bot lane.
Prophet has the feast, Upset has the flash, Norskeren has the knockup, but he is going to be the sacrifice here. Schalke will lose their bot laner as NIP make a proactive play down towards the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, now NIP will look to push the tower. They will have a new minion wave joining soon, but they're going to have to cycle the tower aggro. Now, you can see Schalke can't actually push a tower from this, but what they have done is pushed out the mid lane, pushed out top lane, and Upset's actually going to try and defend this. Memento and Upset 2 versus 4, because Corki has shown out of the lane. Caedrel used the TP, by the looks of it, earlier to get to mid lane, but had showed up in the bottom lane, was enough to defend.
Caedrel going double Dark Seal here as well on the Kassadin, not a build we too commonly see anymore.
Between that and the Catalyst, there's basically no way of actually out-sustaining this Kassadin. This is a matchup that Kassadin is favored in pretty much later in the game and does well in the laning phase. A slight buff to the matchup by the fact that Corki got additional magic damage a whole bunch of patches ago. Now Kassadin's like, great, I will do better against this now, thank you.
Of course, the Q, the Null Sphere, giving you a magic damage shield.
And also the passive Void Stone. You take reduced magic damage anyway, 15% at this point.
Schalke in the ascendancy in this game, 1,000 gold ahead, 9 minutes in stress, and we are starting to see a few of those first items be completed. Ninja's RB's first for Upsets, not always the most common AD carry build, but works when you're playing into a few auto-attackers on the enemy team.
Those auto-attackers from Nagne, HeaQ, all that, they are going to have damage if they can get the arrows to work for themselves, get the team fight started. But look, it's so tough when Schalke have been good at playing the team fights themselves. Every time NIP have wanted to start a fight, it has basically been answered effectively by Schalke. And look at how low this tower is. This is the Gnar advantage in the matchup. Smittyj is the one with the CS lead at this point. Prophet's going to have a little bit more help from Shook.
And Schalke, once again, one of their signature stress is this early game vision control. And you can see all the way into that blue side jungle of NIP, there are wards scattered across the map. And people might wonder, you know, oh, they've only got wards to the blue side. How do they know when Shook's on the red side? It's like, well, he's not on the blue side, so he must be on the red side.
Yep. The absence of somebody is enough information to infer. And you can see that's why Memento tracks towards the top side. One of the other reasons why there's so much vision control on the bottom side is because Upset and Norskeren want to push. They want to push back HeaQ and Sprattel for as much as they can. Flash forward though, top side.
Gnar back, Memento looking for the knockup as well. Here's Shook, a good Glacial Prism will stun them up, and Prophet managing to survive. Eventually, Memento gets the knock away, and Shook bounced away from Smittyj. Schalke with their 3rd kill of the game on the board. The binding connects onto Norskeren in the bottom side of the map, but neither team going to go for a full engage there. Once again, Smittyj is looking strong in this top lane and is looking to get himself a kill in this game. Shook pushing the wave out. Maybe staying a little bit too long. They wait for him to use his skills. Can't be slowed. Memento tried to get the knockup, but did not connect. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, the arrow's going to hit on towards Upset. He uses the heal. Will try and get Sprattel down. Eventually gets the kill. And now HeaQ needs to be careful because he's in the midst of the minions. Upset does not get the draw back. HeaQ with the flash trying to get Norskeren as well. This is the HeaQ that needed to show up. And Nagne can't quite connect from the side. Here is Caedrel and Nagne. The mid laners have joined the fight. Norskeren getting on his best dancing shoes, cannot dodge around. Eventually HeaQ falls and Nagne and Caedrel will settle their differences and won't go for any further action in the bottom lane.
We didn't see the other half of the fight, but top lane there were no kills, but the tower fell in favor of Schalke. Caedrel was able to roam down and actually get a kill from the bottom side himself. And that is going to empower this Kassadin. Now Rod of Ages completed. But the fact that Schalke even got the kill from that on Sprattel is, again, another benefit to themselves. Every trade, Schalke are able to get more from. Now, okay, HeaQ. They start this fight with the arrow towards Upset. HeaQ is so close to Upset that he's just waiting for the ultimate from Upset to come out, because now there's no way of Upset actually dodging the Ashe arrow. That's, of course, one of the interactions in Ashe, Xayah lanes you always have to watch out for. And then HeaQ able to flash forward past the feathers himself. And Norskeren ended up low. Oh, Nagne was so close on that. Almost gets him, but Caedrel's roam was enough. Norskeren was already dead here. They knew he was dead.
HeaQ was already dead as well. Sacrificed to the tower and to Caedrel. Rift Herald was just picked up by NIP, and they're going to use that mid, try and get a tower of their own because they are lagging behind in terms of gold. The arrow onto Caedrel.
Still gets it.
You were too excited for that stress. As soon as Caedrel jumps the wall, he's safe.
That's
true. Fine. Nagne and NIP looking for a little bit more out of this, though. This could be a second turret with the Rift Herald. You've got 2 attack damage threats as well as they jump straight onto Caedrel, kill him straight away, and now Schalke on the defensive. NIP have taken the front foot here. The Rift Herald joining the fight. Smittyj with the Gnar into the wall. Shook caught up. Sprattel kills Memento. Shook's going to die as well, and they will not quite get the tower, but NIP are being proactive. This is what we want to see from them, Stress. This is more aggression than I've seen all series from NIP.
And this was one of the points highlighted in Champion Select. Caedrel, low wave clear, can't step up to a mid tower. Was even under his mid-inner tower, but couldn't survive from it. But hang on. Schalke was still looking to push forward on this, as they are looking for a mid tower themselves. There is a Morgana, a Corki, and an Ashe here, so you're not really going to push past that too quickly. Caedrel they are buying time for on the bottom lane. We will come out of this replay to see Caedrel having taken down the bot lane tower, but we started with Caedrel getting dived in the mid lane tower. Ultimate connects from Shook is enough to take him out. Even Memento dies from this. Sprattel ends up picking the kill as I believe the chains lock him from the Morgana ultimate. Schalke able to keep their mid tower and get a bottom lane tower, but it was the mid outer that died to the Rift Herald first. As soon as NIP took the Rift Herald, basically that was a done deal.
Schalke getting towers and objectives in the early game has been a consistent thing for them across the course of this series, Stress, and another consistency is Upset getting ahead on the AD carries. 30 farm ahead, 2 kills up as well, an Essence Reaver for him. Even in Game 2 and in the previous games of this series, he has looked absolutely devastating.
You read my mind, Medic. I was about to ping Connie and ask...
Who is Connie?
We'll never know.
Is Connie related to Boris?
15, maybe. Maybe at this point. There's a lot of mystery in this. But the key thing, there's no mystery. CST at 15 plus 24 is huge. Normally, when you look at CS deficits at 15, they look a little bit underwhelming at times. You know, 6, 7 is good, and you're like, good, they get a laning advantage, a whole wave of extra minions. 24 is astronomical. That is a really big lead for Upset. And across this series, that is 2 games in a row, and the 3rd game that it is happening again.
Dark Binding is going to land onto Memento, the arrow, the pick, but here comes Norskeren, he joins the fray, and Upset there as well. Schalke want to disengage this because the teleport is coming in from Prophet up towards the backside. The Feather Storm, Upset trying to lock up members of NIP. Norskeren is going to sacrifice himself for this fight. Prophet doing work up towards the side of Smittyj is forced back. The beast does come down. Where's Caedrel? He's on his way, Stress. You can hear the Jaws theme in the back of your headset. That's because Caedrel was on his way, but wasn't able to quite get there.
Schalke lose 1 from the fight. Memento, kind of a micro play that he made, throwing the Gragas barrel. Oh, Sprattel catball here.
Has to flash away. Upset still on the chase, and Caedrel's got the flank. He's noticing that there are no NIP members between him and his juicy target. Sprattel's like, I'm going to dodge this way, I'm going to dodge that way. And Caedrel's like, excuse me, mate, I can rift walk. Sprattel's still getting away, though, with the blast cone. Might look for the execute, but Norskeren is on his way. He's like, you killed me, Sprattel. I'm going to take you down. Support all combat.
Wants to die to the Alistar because Caedrel...
flashed.
Yep. Okay, so... wanted to give the gold to the support. Didn't want to give the gold to the Kassadin because Kassadin will destroy the late game if he gets there. Whether the flash is worth it...
Well, let's go back to this fight.
Okay.
Let's go back to this fight.
Memento barrels on the ward here to apply a slow onto Prophet so that when Norskeren and Smittyj try and come up around the corner, Prophet can't quite close the gap fast enough. This is buying time for Caedrel, who, look at the minimap, is running from the middle lane. And as soon as Caedrel passes the minion line, NIP instantly back away. They cannot afford to give kills to the Kassadin, which is what the end of this sequence all was mitigating. Now, Caedrel may get punished for not having a flash, but at the same time can reap so many benefits from that gold acceleration into getting a Lichbane as his second item. If Caedrel doesn't get punished in the next 2.5 minutes without that flash, then it was worth.
Yeah,
that's the only way of reading it now.
I can understand the logic, and I'm trying to work out exactly why he flashed instead of just Rift Walking and then Force Pulsing, which is what he ended up doing.
Mana, because he had Rift Walked 3 to 4 times already, and at this early point where you've only got Rod of Ages, you actually don't have a high enough mana pool to sustain constant Rift Walks. Somebody will drag the tape back.
I've got a secondary argument to it as well, Stress. I think because Black Shield mitigates the magic damage, I think he thought he had to burst through the Black Shield to get the kill. So I'm wondering if that's part of it as well. It doesn't matter, he gets the kill in the end, and he did burn his flash. And Schalke and Ulfir get the dragon. Now, Stress, every time Schalke and Ulfir have got first Tower Blood, and first Blood, and first Dragon, they have won a game in a promotion tournament. They have a 100% win rate when those 3 stars align for them. And if it happens once again, they will win this series 3-0. And they will be going to the LCS.
If it happens again. I would normally say that's a big if, but everything is lining up very much so in the same way as the other games, where NIP have done an okay job, a decent job at taking a couple of skirmishes. Not the best, but still have done okay. But Schalke have out-farmed, outplayed at certain circumstances the NIP lineup, and have just looked that bit stronger enough to put them at 2-0 with a lead against NIP, with Kassadin with 2 kills.
And we said we wanted them to get their split pushes ahead. They've got a 2-kill Kassadin with a Banshees and a Rod of Ages that's at 7 stacks at the moment. You've got a Gnar who's a few CS ahead and has finished the Black Cleaver, almost on his way to the Frozen Mallet. Schalke and Ulfir have their win conditions coming online, and NIP don't seem to have a way to answer it.
Not yet, at least. Banshee's coming through. Interesting, when I was expecting a Lichbane commonly we see on Kassadin, gives him the ability to push towers quite quickly. Caedrel wanting to opt on a defensive route, gives him defense against Shook's ultimate being just fired out at a Kassadin. Obviously, normally you can avoid it, but HeaQ has to avoid this.
Flashes away, Sprattel there in the midst of the fray as well. Norskeren gets the kill, supportal combat once again, and now Schalke are looking for the mid lane tower. They are unrelenting. 2,000 gold ahead is going to be 3 by the time they take down this turret. And NIP just have no vision, have no awareness of where Schalke are, and seem to have no answer at all to the footballing squad.
Yeah, Schalke have just picked apart Sprattel multiple times. Ashe arrow coming down mid, doesn't hit anything, and HeaQ is way too far to follow up for profit. Nagne is there, though.
Norskeren jumps back in. Caedrel's now teleporting in as well. Schalke want to take the fight. Smittyj joining as well. Profit does get the feast down, but there's a double Gnar, and that's a double kill. Upset, and Caedrel going to clean up crew this shop. Profit dies. Already Shook is dead, and NIP running for the win. Sprattel caught out. Upset jumping forward, unable to get any more down onto NIP. The feathers are there, though. If he can get a good blade caller back, he might be able to root someone down.
Whew, Memento, happy hour saving his life by the looks of things. Just is able to shimmy his way out of the fight on about 100 health to end that one. But again, another fight. NIP trying to start it, ends up backfiring. Profit and Shook couldn't quite lock anybody down. The double TP came out, and Schalke were able to turn it back around. Arrow was a nice attempt here. What NIP are trying to do is get 1 point of crowd control to hit in the middle lane, but Schalke already kiting down away. In come the TPs. Norskoren's the one that ends up dying for Schalke, but look, in comes Smittyj, in Mega Gnar into the wall, double kill comes through. And Schalke every single time are just edging closer and closer to the LCS.
And if you're NIP as well, fights like this must break your heart to see. Sprattel's dead.
Again.
Caught out by Smittyj, 11 kills to 7 ahead. Schalke and Ulfir now have a 4,000 gold advantage. NIP have only won 1 game when they were behind at 20 minutes across the entire split, Stress.
And it was against Fnatic.
It was against Fnatic. The route onto Profit in the top lane. He tries to eat someone down, but Schalke and Ulfir are unstoppable. They are not giving an inch to NIP this game. Once again, they take a kill, and they are looking for a little bit more. The minion wave is far away, and they will just have to wait for those minions to come and join them.
This looks a lot more like the Schalke that initially beat Giants in the regular split. The Schalke that did make their way past RB.
They've had a tough road.
Yeah,
like beating Giants in the regular split, the only team to do that, beating Team RB, which was the superstar team that was expected to come through, and now looking for a 3-0 versus NIP. They started up the Baron,
and
only 23 minutes away. Shook caught out by Caedrel. Norskeren knocks him back superbly, and now they're looking for the Baron themselves. They get it. Schalke at Baron buff at 23 minutes. Norskeren once again pays for it with his life. Profit teleporting in as NIP trying to get some dregs of hope out of this situation, but there is no hope left to give. Schalke look dominant.
They are recalling out empowered recalls on 4 members after picking up the Baron. Now NIP have to try and salvage anything to keep any sense of grip on this game, but they have fallen so far behind in another game, the 3rd in a row that Schalke have just racked up Baron after Baron. 23 minutes in the game, NIP have not found answers to anything from Schalke across 3 games.
30 CS in the top lane, 40 CS in the AD carries, and this is small numbers for this series. Usually we're looking at 60, 70, 80 by this point. And Schalke are so decisive and are able to play around the Baron so well.
Yeah, they play well around the Baron. You can see Shook tries to get an ultimate through. It actually hits Norskeren, who responds by pushing him further away from the Baron pit. Easy smite comes down from Memento. Norskeren dies. He doesn't mind because he's right on the verge of entering the LCS for the first time in his career. Schalke have, as you said, been so far ahead when it comes to these CS differences. The only thing NIP have been able to bank on so far in this series was profit in the last 2 games, but Smittyj has outshone him even then. This game, he's down in CS's profit. Smittyj is having a massive impact in team fights, and Schalke, it looks like they are about to do it.
This is when the 1-3-1 composition truly comes online as well, when you've got 3 waves of minions pushing in with the Baron buff. We saw Shook trying to react, trying to get up towards that top lane and shut down Caedrel, but he could not do it. And now Caedrel will push in. Still no Lich Bane, but he has the Sheen. Schalke rotate down towards this bottom side, just trying to get a bit more out of this Baron buff. Now, 8,000 gold ahead. Well, 7 and a bit, Stress, if we're going to do the maths properly, but Caedrel is going to try and make that 8 in this top lane.
Yeah, he's just waiting on that wave of minions to come through, trying to cut now down towards the mid lane, just threatening a roam. The TP is nearly available for Caedrel, so even if NIP look to start a fight, they will have to face off against a 3-1-3 Kassadin at the same time. And as you said, the 1-3-1 taking over the game has really been something Schalke have been able to orchestrate well in this game.
The brink of a decisive victory for Schalke 04. The brink of 3-0. The brink of the LCS and the brink of a mighty abyss for NIP as they stare down to the depths of Challenger and look into the eyes of their competition for next season. It is not quite yet over, Stress, but it looks all but said and done for NIP in the LCS.
Caedrel TP's back in, and it looks like NIP won't have enough to hang on, but one last fight might be the attempt. HeaQ is down!
He's still alive, though. He manages to survive. The Ignite comes in as Norskeren says, "You're not getting away from me, son." Takes the kill. Smittyj gonna jump the wall. The Gnar back as they try and catch out Shook. The rest of Schalke 04 cannot get around these towers yet, and the Baron has fallen off, but Norskeren is not done yet. Nor are Schalke, nor are NIP as they fight back. Norskeren managing to survive. They've taken 2. NIP have to fight for their lives, but they do not have enough to stop Schalke.
Schalke will look for the inhibitor turret right now, but they are all blinking low themselves. They'll get an inhibitor. Profit is going to try and punish them, but he has to really respect Smittyj at this point. Schalke have done damage to the base. Here comes the TP from Nagne. He can run down multiple members, but look, he can't get enough done surely on his own. He can't even close the distance, didn't have the package, so no way of getting towards Schalke in enough time. A Cloud Drake to add to the benefit of Schalke as well in what was a hard-fought fight. How did... Oh, that cask was beautiful. It was actually a cask again from Memento. He has caught HeaQ so many times. Norskeren just igniting down the Ashe for the kill. And that means there's no real way. Nagne is the only damage dealer remaining for NIP that they can rely on in this fight. Prophet tries to feast Norskeren, but it's not quite enough either. Upset, and the rest of Schalke able to save him. And Nagne was low on mana. He had to back away from the fight because he was so reliant on that poke damage to come through. Schalke got the inhib, got the escape, and it looks like they've got pretty much one more passage of play before they take this series 3-0.
And that's the sort of fight you look at if you're a Schalke fan and you say, yep, today's our day. Today's the day we make the LCS, because there were so many blinking health bars. There were so many minute escapes. Memento, Norskeren, everyone got out of there with sub 100 HP. And NIP just weren't able to quite finish the job. Now, Baron's up in a minute and a half. Schalke might wait for that so that they can close, so that they can have these pushing side lanes.
Without a catch on NIP, Schalke would rather the more consistent way of finishing it out. Now that means they could look to set up a catch on the way to Baron. Whoop. NIP tried the arrow, couldn't get too much from it, but they are going to carefully push up now. 3 members stacked in the top lane. Smittyj takes the bot lane tower from it as well. Caedrel finished that Lich Bane. Very strong at this point in the game. Shook wants to try and save NIP's spot in the LCS.
Norskeren with the knockback. Schalke have joined the fight. They don't finish the teleport from Smittyj. He's staying for the inhibitor click. Schalke have disengaged. They have a 10,000 gold lead. We are only 30 minutes in, and Schalke are knocking on these inhibitors. Smittyj unable to get it, but then they just turn for the top inhibitor tower.
It's very reserved out of Schalke, and that's exactly what they can afford to do right now. They know there's an inhibitor falling in the bottom lane. NIP have to be so careful to defend this. They're getting dragged left, right, and center around their base, and that Baron is about to spawn. Caedrel and Smittyj can at least keep NIP busy with these super minions, and that gives them the opportunity for the rest of the team to look towards Baron.
You've got one shot if you're NIP. You have to pull the trigger. You have to say go. You have to find the fight. You have to find the pick, because if you don't, you're out. You are donezo in the LCS, and Schalke Null Fear will replace you. They are in such a commanding position over this game, over this series. Prophet misses the Gnar. Smittyj jumps in. The stun lands. Here comes the arrow as well. It hits Memento. Upset in the front line. Draws it back. Prophet has to pop the gargoyles. Shook has the flank. Prophet so low. Nagne trying to kite back. Schalke Null Fear on the front foot once again. The third time in the series. They are looking for that Nexus, and they are looking for these kills. Caedrel on a rampage. Prophet down. NIP falling to the wayside as Schalke re-engage and re-engage and re-engage and give nothing to NIP. They take the win. They take the ace. They only lose Norskeren. It's a triple for Schalke, and it's a triple for upset.
Schalke with another clean fight, get the unanswered hat trick on the series against NIP to reclaim their spot in the LCS.
The Nexus towers fall like paper, melted through like knives through butter, and on the second time of asking, Schalke Null Fear secure their spot in the European LCS.
A dominant performance out of Schalke, and they have a lot of cause to celebrate with that 3-0 win.
That they do. Great play by them. I know it seems odd to talk about a player fervently looking at his computer screen and saying, I could have done better, but that is the upset mentality, and that is the Schalke mentality. They fell out of playoffs to Misfits Academy. That man, a monumental part of that series, and now you see him there. You see him understanding how he can be better and how he can play in the LCS.
I think it just sunk in. Upset was a little bit just lost in the moment, lost in thought. This has been what he's been trying for with the rest of the Schalke lineup, and a revamped lineup for Schalke, coming through great team play as a unit. They've showed a lot of strategic success and a lot of individual skill, especially in this series against NIP. And you've got to look at this performance. It's hard to use the word deserve, but with a 3-0, they deserved the spot in the LCS with today's victory.
Commiserations, of course, to NIP. A solid split from them at times, some great performances. You look at their matches against Fnatic, against Mysterious Monkeys, they showed some very high highs, but their lows were just perhaps a little bit lower than needed to stay in the LCS.
This certainly will be the lowest point, and unfortunately for NIP, as you say, that the high highs didn't carry them on a wave of momentum. And this series, they just didn't answer Schalke at any point. Yesterday, we saw an NIP that answered Mysterious Monkeys so many times. It looked so solid for them, but now, unfortunately, after a 0-3 performance, Challenger Series awaits them in the spring split. For any team that goes down to Challenger, there's always two routes out. Either revamp the lineup or just stick with the same lineup. It doesn't matter what the organization chooses, but put everything into the spring split. Try and qualify back again. That's what Giants did in their performance. This split, the summer split, the other option, it's a difficult one, but Challenger is a treacherous water of sharks right now. So NIP, it's a very difficult time for them right now. The Challenger Series is what awaits them for spring.
It definitely is, and I want to see how that team develops over the next 4 months, 6 months, give it a year, see how they come back biting, because Schalke and Giants have shown that you can do that, and Schalke today especially showed such mental strength, such fortitude as a team to be able to fight off NIP and get the win.
Yeah, and I think that was the point that I was trying to make, was a little bit more towards the fact that we've seen teams weather the storm of Challenger and make it back into the LCS. Schalke is one of them. Of course, they were in the LCS a year ago. Very different lineup now. Yeah. And a lot of individual skill on this lineup.
Yeah, a player who's weathered the storms of Challenger Series and of the playoffs is Upset. He is our player of the series. Superb performance by him, of course. Doing, in all honesty, doing exactly what people expected him to do, but doing it with such aplomb that he deserves to be recognized.
Yeah, he does. And growth as a player over just one split as well. I think the hand they were dealt at spring, where they were sent unceremoniously out before even their opportunity in the promotion tournament, I feel like kind of grew Upset. He's now the one implementing some of the adjustments on Norskeren as well. Like, the Schalke bottom lane is very formidable. You've seen them take bad matchups and just kind of persist through and win in the late game. And I'm impressed by Upset. Very solid player, good looking career ahead of him. We always get these good AD carries.
Mini Trupax and Upset looked like they could definitely challenge. That was the last game of the promotion tournament. After a long road, Schalke can finally celebrate a spot in the European LCS. Joining them are Giants, who won the winners bracket game yesterday up against Schalke. So it's great to see new blood in the LCS, as it always is. And having Giants and Schalke join, coming up through the Challenger Series, organizations that have been around before, but players that are revamping and revitalizing these rosters.
Yes, and the mix of new players, old players, you've got to, of course, talk about Smittyj, looked great in that series. Memento, hitting a bunch of barrels onto HeaQ, actually was a big part of this win for Schalke. Players making their way back into the LCS. We'll see if they can maintain their spot again. There's quite a few like high stacked lanes and positions right now as we head towards 2018. If the rosters were to stay together, I mean, AD carry. You look at AD carries in Europe now. There's a couple more sharks in that water as well in the LCS.
Yeah, I think it's actually great to see the AD carries develop. Upset is actually joining us on the analyst desk, so that would be great to hear him break down how he feels about, you know, getting into the LCS and the other AD carries in the LCS. Alongside that, mid lane is looking pretty strong. Yes. Caedrel, a very good mid laner, showed us some great signs in that series, and Jizuki from Giants. They both bring their own personal flair, which I quite like. Yeah, they do. Another Brit in the LCS with Caedrel making his way in. It's, of course, Caedrel, a little bit of an experience before in the LCS, but it's such a better rounded player now. You look at his play now, not just about the team play on the Twisted Fates, the Lissandras of the world. He's shown he can carry on the LeBlanc, and I like that you bring up Jizuki here, the Italian god. He, of course, has had some great performances himself. Really, really cool matchups. It's a long way away as the spring split. Yeah, but we can start talking about it now, Stress. This is our bread and butter. This is what we do. We get excited for League of Legends, and I'm very excited to see both these teams joining up. Because we have a couple of minutes, we're going to break down one more lane. I want to talk about supports. Sure. Because Norskeren actually showed me a degree of maturity in that series that you don't tend to see from Challenger Series supports, which is he was willing to kill himself to help out the team. Yeah, the ultimate at that point,
play from Norskeren where he's like, just leave me. Everything is fine. I'm just going to completely push Shook away from the Baron Pit every opportunity. And it was enough for Schalke to hang on and take the series.
Yeah, Schalke are ready for the 2018 EU LCS Spring Split. Let's send it to Quickshot, who is joined by 3 winners of the promotion tournament.
Thank you very much, Medic. Yes, I am joined here by the newest old EU LCS squad. It is Schalke. Welcome back to the EU LCS, Schalke and Memento in particular. Yeah. Dude, 3-0, you made it look really easy today. Why was it that so?
I mean, I think I just felt a lot more confident today. I think tomorrow we were a bit too overconfident, thinking that we would just stomp Giants, but like right now it's been like this. So against Red Bull, we were like, oh, we might lose. They're pretty good. So we go 3-1. And then we face MM, and we're like, we're going to stomp them, we're going to win. And then we go 3-2. And then we say, Giants, we're going to stomp them. We're going to win so hard, 3-0. Then we get 2-3. And then today we're like, it's lost. It's so... Nah,
yep.
Okay, it's not like that. But we were like, because they 3-0'd yesterday, they're really confident. So we felt like they look really good. So we got a bit scared, I would say. So today we just all went in with no regrets, just playing the best we could.
It showed. You guys played phenomenal. Upset, you got player of the series.
What?
Yes, as voted for by Gilius as well. I mean, I'm the host. I don't get to vote.
You could have been player of the series.
No, but please.
Yes, I mean, Upset.
Memento played really good too.
How does it feel to be in the LCS, Upset?
Feels great. Like I don't have words right now. I'm still a bit surprised because I thought it would be really rough today. Because if you lose the day before, like 5-game series, you're like really drained mentally. Then you have to play the next day, but we actually bounced back, so I was pretty happy. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to play LCS, obviously.
Yes.
Can play versus G2, where I was last split, so maybe I can show something that I learned from them to them. But yeah, I'm really excited in general.
Can't wait to see how you guys perform. Gilius and I were talking along with Andre a lot about the draft this series. Gilius, give me some insight into why it looked so easy for Schalke.
I felt like you guys had the upper hand almost every draft. Like, they went for scaling comps, but you guys were outscaling them. So you see there's something wrong here. So
did you feel the same?
No, but what I did, I opened up Gilius' interview today, and I saw he was like, 2 tanks is so much better than a Jason carry,
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, actually, we have really good macro. Why not just go for the same? Why go for these risky comps?
Yeah. Also, the way we played this today, like we just gave me so much farm. That's why my CS per minute was so high. And then I was like nearly always an item up on HeaQ. So it was pretty hard for him to match my damage as well.
Like you could see, you guys put more prio onto your ADC picks. You stopped playing carries top. Like, why would you do that? Just play Cho'gath, just play tanks?
I mean, you would play what you play in scrims, and we thought this is the way to go, but we realized...
But you guys adapted really well from yesterday to today.
Yeah. It's good to see. Really, really exciting. Let's turn our attention to looking forward now, because we've covered the 3-0. We now have 2 new EU LCS squads joining us for the Spring Split of 2018. Just to remind everybody of the 8 other squads, obviously Fnatic, G2 Giants, H2, Misfits, etc., all the way down the list. Now I want to talk to you guys as Schalke and Giants representative. Gilius, you're no longer an analyst on the desk. All right, now you're Giants Gilius. Who are you guys looking forward to playing? I know Upset said he wants to maybe prove a point against G2, which would be pretty exciting.
Weren't you top 2 in MSI?
Yeah, I was top 2.
That's sick, man.
Memento, where did you end? How is your... No, who do you want to play against next year? Which team, which player in the ULCS do you want to go against?
Everyone.
Everyone?
I want to face
Come on,
everyone.
there's got to be somebody specific. I mean, you just lost to Gilius.
Okay.
You want to face me, dude?
No, I really don't want to.
No, but it's also Trick. He mutilated me last split, so I gotta prove myself again. You gotta get up there.
So Memento wants to come up against Trick. Gilius, why are you turning your nose up at Trick?
He's performing really bad this split. So.
Okay.
And also, like, same for junglers. All of these junglers in Europe are not that good.
All of them?
I mean...
I think Broxah...
Okay, but hang on. Yeah, Broxah plucked from Challenger Series in spring. The all-EU LCS #1 jungler for Fnatic this split. I mean, the guy has grown from, unknown challenger to now superstar.
I mean, the thing about Broxah is, if you have 3 winning lanes every single game, jungling is actually pretty easy to do. So, like, what I have to say about Broxah, like, honest opinion, 1 year ago, I was making fun of this guy in solo queue every single game when he was a random. And then he started copying me, started playing Elise and Lee Sin only. And then he made it to the LCS and only played Elise and Lee because the bans were going to the other players in the team. And he somehow managed to became the best jungler in Europe now, so...
So you're saying it's his lanes that make him
this is
good?
really
No, but to be
unfair.
fair, I didn't...
I'm going
He's pretty good, I think.
But it's true, it's true what Gilius says.
he has
Like,
good
this
players,
guy
but-
was not as good in solo queue. He would just rush mobility boots and he would run it down to every lane.
Upset. I've got two junglers here saying Brox is
We
not
will
that
see.
great.
No,
Why?
they're really jealous.
No. But I didn't finish my point. I did not finish my point.
I really can't believe it.
But however, he is really consistent. This guy is really consistent. And that works really well with Fnatic, and that's why it's going so
No,
well
but
for
he
them.
plays tank. He plays Elise really well. He played Lee Sin really
can
well.
play
He's
tank.
good. He's good now.
He plays tank.
Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
but he's bad at them.
So let's...
I mean, we will
His
see in
Cho'gath
playoffs.
performance was pretty
We
good.
will see in playoffs.
What I love is we're
Yeah,
going
we
to
will
see
see.
on Saturdays.
No,
I mean,
playing-
I rate Maxlow pretty high, honestly.
Yeah, Max
I
is
think
good.
Maxlow is a great champion pool. Good macro, good shot calling. Like, he gives a lot to the team, I guess. Like... Yeah, we will see what happens
We will
next
see.
week.
I want to get your predictions on that a little bit, but let's turn our attention to some of the other newer players. Upset taking to the stage. We've got Jazuki, who I believe is the first Italian player. Mini Trupax, I believe, is the first German. Portuguese player. 80k, I mean, Mini Trupax, pretty hype. His vein, questionable.
Yeah, last time
but
it's just...
that's Andre's fault. That's not his fault. I'm blaming him.
of course,
But like,
the coach.
you know, a bunch of new names to the LCS, new blood, fresh blood. Is it time the old gods of EU are being pushed out? Upset? I mean, the pressure's on your shoulders to now bump the likes of Reckless or Sven or not Mini Trupax even.
But please, I mean, I'm obviously going to try to perform really well, but I think it's when you promote from Challenger to LCS, it's a big step, and you need to prepare really well and maybe do even roster moves and all this stuff to perform on the top as a top team, because it's pretty rough to play split in CS and then just join LCS and perform like as good as a top team already.
Yeah, a lot of things. The topic you just touched on, maybe make changes. This is actually a hot topic of discussion at the moment. Schalke and Giants both look fantastic. The hope is that everyone stays together and grows as a team. But when you face new challenges, it's difficult. Talk to me about the support staff. We've seen a ton of guys here with Schalke. We've seen a ton of analysts and coaches. Like, how big is the team that's working with you that allowed you to qualify here in the promotion tournament?
I mean, definitely shout out to our coach Veteran. Like, he really tried harder to get us good drafts, even though it didn't work too well with Giants sometimes. But also our head of esports, Tim Reichert, is like always there for us, always motivating us when we're feeling down. Like, a special shout out to him, of course.
And on the Giants side?
Yeah, we
outside
also
of
had,
Andre?
we had a good staff. We had two coaches, Naruto Rador and Andre, Guilhoto, and like two really experienced guys. Actually, Andre is not that experienced, but he's a really good coach. But Naruto Rador, he has a lot of experience.
He's been around a long time,
Yeah,
that
and
guy.
then we had a really good manager, Hakrim, who did a lot for us.
It's very exciting because all of the support, all of the staff for a Challenger squad is now, it's changing Challenger, right? I mean, had two of the strongest teams. What are the expectations, okay? Challenger squads promoting to EU LCS have a pretty good track record. Unicorns made it to finals in their first split. G2 went undefeated 3 splits in a row. Splice took 1 split of poor performance, then their summer.
Yeah, and Mysterious Monkeys went...
I'm saying mostly. I'm saying mostly. I'm saying mostly.
I mean,
yeah.
that's 50-50.
It's 50-50.
So where does Schalke end in spring splits?
I mean, goal is obviously playoffs.
Yes.
So we hope that we will at least be 3rd place in our group.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's my goal. Yeah. reach
Setting a
playoffs.
minimum. Memento. Where do you
3rd
go?
place for sure. Like, we're gonna work our asses off.
So you're aiming for 3rd? Aiming for bronze? Come on.
No,
man.
Gilius is going to take
Just
number
3rd
1.
in regular.
So it's where we're pretty rough.
Yeah,
Number 2 will be contested by Fnatic G2.
I'm going to ask this because I want to hear the answer. But where do Giants with Gilius end in spring?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
What is this?
Wait, what?
What? Who is
Gilius,
it?
you said you're the best jungler in Europe by far. Like,
Yeah,
what-
but you never know what group you end up in. But I guess playoffs. I mean, there's teams like Rocket, Unicorns of Love. If you get these teams in your group, I guess you can easily go playoffs. But yeah, we will see.
There's the Gilius. There's the Gilius I was looking for. Rocket, Unicorns of Love. These are teams that are not in the playoffs. Guys, thank you. Congratulations. I want to ask your predictions now on the semi-finals. We've got some of the most important matches coming up. Fnatic, Misfits, they go head-to-head on Saturday at 5 o'clock. Then G2 take on H2K on Sunday. Both of these, 5 o'clock. They're for not only a shot in the finals in Paris, but a chance to represent Europe at Worlds. Now I want to get predictions. I heard Maxwell greater than Broxer. So Fnatic Misfits, what about the rest of the team? Because it's 5v5, not 1v1.
I think that's a hard one. I think Power of Evil is actually really good in this meta. Like, he's a great Lucian, great Orianna, Syndra, Cassiopeia. He is really good in this meta. I think Maxwell is a great jungler in this current meta too. Alphari is great. So it might actually be an upset. Like, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
3 games with me and you're already pulling off.
It might be a 3-2 for Misfits, but obviously the favorite is Fnatic.
Memento?
Yeah, I think so too. But I think it's going to be really close, actually. Maybe 3-2 to Fnatic.
What's the key? 3-2 to Fnatic?
Yeah.
How do they edge it out in the end?
I just think Fnatic has just such a unique style. And they've actually started to play the meta champions as well. So I think they're just going to...
Upset, you're the decider here.
I mean, I really like people in Misfits, but I think Fnatic has a pretty clear edge. They have Caps, Reckless, like top 2 carries in EU, both. They have really good synergy with Broxer and Soas on top. And Jesus is pretty underrated as well. Like, he does a lot for the team.
Yeah.
So I think, even though I really like Misfits, how they played in quarters, I still think Fnatic's gonna 3-1.
Okay, feel like the team as a whole. So let's go to Sunday, G2 versus H2K. You know G2 a little bit more than most. What do you think of this matchup?
I mean,
G2 have had like the worst split of their EU LCS career so far.
I can't bet against my fam, you know, so...
G2?
I think G2 will win this, yeah. I mean, it's pretty rough for H2K because G2 has a history of being clutch in playoffs and always winning, and H2K is the opposite, so it kind of blows for them to play with G2. But they also, H2K has really good players as well. Like, I think Fabivin has played really good this entire split, and Jankos plays always really good, so they can win for sure.
Oh, okay. Little bit of a nose turned up there. The Jankos playing good. Gilius?
3-1 G2.
Gilius?
That's his opinion. I think that's a hard one because G2 looked pretty weak versus Splyce. So,
Splyce looked good.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think G2 looked weak. But
so if G2 looked weak, and if you take H2K from week 9, week 10, that looked good.
That's a thing, right? It's a hard one to predict. But I think G2 in best of 5s, they usually come out ahead. So I will still give it to G2.
Okay, all right. So G2, Memento, you're the final vote, yeah?
I mean, I gotta vote for H2K now because everyone's voting for G2.
Oh, that's the weakest.
Memento.
It's true. I think H2K this time will actually perform well in playoffs. It will be a 3-2 to
H2K. I think so as well, dude.
Yeah, man. Me too, man.
Is that what your heart wants or what your head wants?
Neither.
Neither? Okay, well, that doesn't leave a lot to the imagination. Gentlemen,
it's just a prediction out of nowhere, man. I'm just throwing it out there.
Guys, congratulations. Thank you so much for a great promotion tournament. You made it very exciting. Welcome back to the EU LCS, which kicks off 2018 for these guys.
We did it.
The Spring Promotion Tournament is a wrap. Thank you for watching. We'll be back tomorrow
So cringe, man.
with the first semi-final of Misfits versus Fnatic. These guys get to go have a great night. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you, GG,
Have
guys.
fun celebrating, guys.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Did you already
A
celebrate?
stacked lineup, a stacked split. That word means nothing here. He'll kill Sprattel, does have the wins of war, looking for the taunt. There we go. Memento has the body slam, but Nagne kills him. Caedrel kills Wando, and he will not be able to secure the bounty.
It's tanking up so much, NIP want to engage.
Prophet's already killed Smittyj. Upset needs to get those damage, those autos down, but another great shockwave from Nagne.
I guess we can't fight, really.
Schalke win the fight around the Baron. They lose Smittyj, but Nagne will fall as well. The shockwave is way too late. Schalke, null fear, stress. I had a premonition this was coming.
Only Nagne remaining as Schalke will take game 1 against NIP.
The tower Prophet there as well. The subjugate's being used, and they're trying to shred down Smittyj. But
How insane are you, dude? Holy shit.
as well, they don't even need their Cogmore to do it. Smittyj's looking for a little bit more, but he's going to be sacrificed as NIP get 1 kill, but lose the Baron.
I fucking knew it, dude.
Yeah. Schalke null fear, keep on pushing forward as Upset pounds down the damage. Another tower for Schalke.
What is that? Let me penta, actually. Let me penta.
No yelling.
Let me penta. Kill him all! I got triple already.
Oh my god. No, you know, just
It's fine.
And Caedrel gonna clean up crew this shop. Prophet dies. Norskeren is not done yet. Nor are Schalke, nor are NIP as they fight back. Schalke re-engage and re-engage and re-engage and give nothing to NIP. They take the win. They take the ace. They only lose Norskeren. Norskeren. It's a triple for Schalke, and it's a triple for Upset. Knives through butter, and on the second time of asking, Schalke 04 secure their spot in the European LCS.